In the freezing winter of 1860, as the United States stood on the precipice of a bloody civil war, a small, unassuming package was delivered to the door of a prominent Philadelphia abolitionist. Inside wasn't a weapon or a secret manifesto, but a living, breathing human being who had just survived a 27-hour journey in a wooden crate marked dry goods. This is the breathtaking true story of Henry Box Brown, a man who literally mailed himself to freedom. The weight of chains. Henry Brown was born into enslavement in Louisa County, Virginia in 1815. Unlike the stereotypical images of the era, Henry was a skilled worker in a tobacco factory in Richmond. He was intelligent, resourceful, and deeply devoted to his wife, Nancy, and their 3 children. However, the inherent cruelty of the peculiar institution soon shattered his world. In 1848, despite Henry paying his wife's master for the right for them to live together, Nancy and the children were sold to a different plantation in North Carolina. Henry stood on the street corner, paralyzed by grief, as he watched his family in a coffle of 350 enslaved people, chained and walking away forever. In that moment of total desolation, Henry decided that he would no longer live as property. The impossible plan. Henry knew that the Underground Railroad was an option, but the patrols were thick, and the risks of being caught on foot were nearly 100%. He needed a method so audacious that no slave catcher would ever suspect it. After days of prayer and reflection, an idea came to him. He would ship himself via the Adams Express Company. He enlisted the help of James C.A. Smith, a free black man, and Samuel Smith, a sympathetic white shoemaker. Together, they constructed a wooden box. It was tiny, only 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 2.5 feet deep. It was lined with baize, a coarse woolen cloth, and Henry carried only a small bladder of water and a few biscuits. To ensure he wouldn't be sent back for malingering at work, Henry burned his own hand to the bone with sulfuric acid to secure a medical leave from the factory. 27 hours of darkness. On March 23, 1849, Henry climbed into the box. The crate was nailed shut and marked with the words, "This side up with care." The journey was a psychological and physical nightmare. Despite the "this side up" instructions, handlers frequently ignored the labels. At one point, during a transfer from a wagon to a steamboat, the box was placed upside down. For over an hour, Henry remained on his head. He later recounted that he felt his eyes swelling as if they would burst from their sockets, and the veins in his temples pulsing with the weight of his entire blood supply. He was on the verge of losing consciousness when 2 men, looking for a place to sit, flipped the box over to use it as a bench, unknowingly saving his life. He traveled by wagon, rail, steamboat, and ferry. He endured the suffocating heat of cargo holds and the bone-chilling cold of the March air, all while remaining as silent as the dry goods he was pretending to be. The resurrection. The box arrived at the headquarters of the Pennsylvania Anti-Slavery Society in Philadelphia on the morning of March 24th. 4 men, including the famous abolitionist William Still, waited in nervous silence. They were terrified they would open the box only to find a corpse. One of the men tapped on the wood and whispered, "Is all right within?" From inside the darkness, a muffled voice replied, "All right." When the lid was pried open, Henry Brown stood up, reached out his hand, and said, "How do you do, gentlemen?" Then he broke into a hymn from the Bible he had memorized. "I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me, and heard my calling." Legacy and impact. Henry Box Brown became an overnight sensation. He didn't just escape, he became a powerful symbol of the ingenuity and humanity of enslaved people. He toured the northern U.S. and later England, carrying his famous box with him as a prop to illustrate the physical constraints of slavery. His story remains one of the most remarkable acts of individual resistance in American history. It reminds us that the human spirit, when pushed to the brink, is capable of engineering miracles out of thin air and a bit of wood and nails.